Greetings to everyone. My name is Chinmay Vinay Dandavate. I am pursuing my MSc in Statistics. I am currently in the semester 1 of that program from the Institute of Science Nagpur. And in the newly introduced subject of research methodology, the topic which I have been assigned for making a seminar is the overview of the research methodology in various areas. So, while this topic was allotted to me, this term various had put me into a trouble since I knew no bounds for the word various. Since everything, right from we wake up in the morning, the brush which we use, till the bed where we sleep, is a manifestation and a product of research. So, how can I show the research methodology in various areas provided there are no bounds to the term various? So I thought of it from a very patriotic and a nationalistic point of view. Which parts of research or which aspects of research contribute to the development of nation? I have focused only on those to make sure that the word various is within limits and still is reasonable. So the first aspect of research or the first field of research which sounds nationalistic is of course science. But this entire research methodology subject or this paper, which has been introduced under the new education policy, it solely covers the research methodology from the perspective of science. That is, it only shows the research methodology which is to be adopted while doing some research in pure science. So I thought of remaining two fields where research methodology is very much applied and is also very much contributing to the nation. And thus, this is the framework of my presentation. The first constituent of my presentation being the introduction to what actually is research methodology. The second one being the application of it in agriculture. Since agriculture is a major occupation which is in India, India is known for its fertile land, and agriculture has a great deal of contribution in the revenue and the taxes of India, as well as in the export industry of India. So I thought agriculture would be a very good option. And the third and the final constituent of my framework being the research methodology in medicine. Since medicine also, especially after the pandemic in India and the whole world, I thought medicine should be a great concern for applications in research methodology. So with this sketchy preamble, I now move to the actual presentation, beginning with what actually research is. So I begin with a very generic statement of what a research is. So as per the Waltz and Basel, the definition coined by them in the year 1981, research is a systematic, formal, rigorous and precise process employed to gain solutions to problems and or to discover and interpret new facts and new relationships. Now here this term and the purposes which succeed and precede it, they perhaps give two important divisions or two important classifications of what the intentions of research can be. Either they can be something which is deep rooted into the society, either they can be having the intention to solve the pre-existing problems in any society or any country, or they can be just for a sake of knowledge or a very pure and a very dignified pursuit of knowledge for discovering and interpreting and reinterpreting new things and new relationships. So having dealt with this generic statement about the research, we further move to know the meaning of research in a much deeper and a much multidimensional aspect apart from this generic statement. And here we can see we have two bullet points which somehow try to concise the deep and the massive meaning of what a research is. So firstly, research is an art of scientific investigation. Now what do they mean by scientific investigation? The immediate and the obvious meaning of scientific investigation is that in scientific investigation there is nothing called gospel truth, or there is absolutely no place for a dogma. Everything and anything or each bit of information which we gather during the investigation should be subjected to corroboration and verification. This is the obvious and the most purified meaning of what scientific investigation means. So the art which describes this scientific investigation, or it compiles that process into a form which is lucid for consumption and for propagation and for understanding, that is research. Secondly, research is an academic activity which comprises defining and redefining the problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing and evaluating data, making deductions, and reaching conclusions, and at last carefully testing the conclusions whether they fit the formulating hypothesis or not. Now this second point perhaps gives a checklist of what actually is to be done in the actual process of research. So this is perhaps a checklist which compiles all the constituent parts which are a part of that process of research. Fine, so having dealt with what research is, we now move to the objectives of research. Now, up till now, we have been dealing with what is research, but why that research is to be done. In this slide, we will be dealing with it. So, the first thing is to gain familiarity with the phenomenon or to achieve new insights to it. Now, there can be many misconceptions in the society. In any society, the previous insights into a subject or previous insights to anything for that matter can be wrong, cannot conform to truth. So new insights have to be offered. Everything and anything is subject to change. Everything and anything is liable for corroboration, verification, and there is no dogma. Secondly, to prey accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or group. Now, these may not have a direct connection with the society as such, but in any scientific project or any uh, statistical project also for that matter, the knowledge of the characteristics of a particular individual, any particular situation, especially in operations research, or a group in any sociological experiment or research project is necessary. Thirdly, to determine the frequency with which something occurs and its association with another example. Now, this may have its relevance in the engineering, it may have its relevance in the physics which we study. Here, this objective basically implies the study of how the things are happening and the occurrence of one thing does or does not have relationship with another occurrence or another example for that matter. Fourthly, to test the causal relationship of hypotheses with each other. Now, in the whole world, there are many research projects going on. So, if there is one research project and there is a certain hypothesis which is devised as a null hypothesis, and there is some other research project going on and we are looking for some other hypothesis, and in case they are like the branches of the same tree which go to the same root ultimately, so to test whether those two hypotheses, doesn't matter how uh, different and how unrelated they seem, do they have any causal relationship or not, that can be also tested by research. So having dealt with these three important parts, we now move to the actual application of the research methodology, and the things which we have learned up till now in actually what a research is. On the same angles, we will be studying its applications in various fields as well. So the first one being agriculture, research methodology in agriculture. So what is agricultural research? Just like we have studied what is research, now we will be proceeding on the same angles. What is agricultural research? So agricultural research is a systematic inquiry to generate new information to solve problems in agriculture. Now, since India being a fertile land, a land where agriculture is a major occupation, so of course there are many problems arising and are bugging the farmers, and of course it is necessary to solve their problems for the progress of the nation. So agricultural research is nothing but a systematic inquiry to generate new information to solve the problems in agriculture. Now, as we did in the research methodology, what are the objectives of research methodology? Analogously, we will be studying what are the objectives of the agricultural research. So these are the objectives: to develop sustainable and cost-effective agriculture and the production systems. Now, as the world is progressing day by day, every second it is progressing, some new technologies and new inventions are occurring. Right now, while I am conversing with you people, there might be some technological groundbreaking project might be going on somewhere in the world. So as the world is progressing, we also need to develop such techniques that the agriculture, this occupation of agriculture, also keeps up with the progressing world. Secondly, to develop improved production technologies. For example, artificial insemination. Now here, I think I need to pontificate to this thing, that here the word agriculture does not wholly mean only sowing the seeds into the ground and irrigating them and expecting the crop to grow and to harvest the crop. No, here agriculture, or this term agriculture, has a much wide implication. It also includes horticulture, it also includes sericulture, it also includes poultry, etc. So I think this justifies why I have given the example of artificial insemination. Embryo transfer also on the same lines. Embryo transfer also is necessary production technology which needs to be developed and improved. Improvised irrigation methods. Now this has its relevance to the cultural agriculture, sowing the seeds and expecting the crop to grow. We require improvised irrigation methods due to the increased water scarcity which is the faced by the world as the days are passing. Third being the increase in the agricultural productivity in terms of the quantity and the quality, which also includes the development of new pesticides, drought resistant crops and animals. So of course, as I had said in the previous point, that the water scarcity crisis is being the rising concern of the world. So we have to develop such crops and such animals who can put up with this scarcity of water. We also need to develop new pesticides so that all the new plant viruses can be faced well by the crops and there is no loss on the behalf of that farmer. Fourth being the development of the effective management strategies for the institutional support. Now this point is something which does not lie in the ambit of science, rather it lies in the ambit of the governance and the sociology and the civic sciences. We need to communicate our problems to the government or the institutions such that they have such management strategies, or for that matter even the government also needs to have such enforcement agencies or management agencies or such people who can devise such strategies so that a support from the government can be given to those farmers, or for that matter this entire enterprise of agriculture. Fifth point being the development of technologies to develop transformation of primary products into end consumer products. Now, the cultural and the traditional business of agriculture, it included harvesting of crops at the end and uh, producing those grains and all those end products into the market and selling them and getting money in return. But that's, however, not all. I mean, there need to be developed such technologies so that in case it is for that matter sericulture, we are developing silk, so that silk can be transformed into such a manner that it can be ready to use for that consumer who is going to purchase that silk. And this is the actual crux of this point, that we have to develop technologies and develop transformation of primary products into the end consumer products. Fine. So now I proceed to the further scope and the divisions in agriculture. Having dealt with what is the definition of agricultural research and what are the objectives of the same, now we move to what are the further scopes and the uh, further hopes in this agricultural research. So they are as follows. In agriculture, like many other disciplines, we carry biophysical and social science research. Now, as I have said in the previous point, the biophysical research, it is in the ambit of the science, the STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics, which we are studying. And the social science research, it is in the ambit of the sociology, or for that matter, the social studies which the students are taught up till class 10. So biophysical research of course includes the biological and the physical processes which come under the pure sciences and the engineering and technology, etc. While the social science research, it includes the study of people and their behavior, and this behavior in terms of how they respond to a certain product which is born of this agricultural research development, so that the products and alternatively the entire research or that entire technology process can be attuned to the demands and the response of that particular group of people towards that agricultural product. The products can be made as per the need of that group of people, and for that the study of people and their behavior, their psychology and their economics also, their capacity to purchase something, this needs to be studied firsthand. Fine. So now, having dealt with the application of the research methodology in agriculture, we move to the third and the final uh, constituent of our presentation, that is the research methodology in medicine. So research methodology in medicine is divided broadly into two parts. First one being primary research and the second one being the secondary research. So what is primary research? So primary research is a research about a data that doesn't yet exist. Now what does this mean? A simple example is related to the global warming. Now as we know, due to the global warming, the peaks of many mountains, they are melting. So many such bacteria or many such pathogens which were in a dormant state, which were hidden behind that snow, now they are no more dormant. Due to the melting of that ice, they are now apparent. They are coming out. So up till now, the humankind, the entire this entire field of knowledge, for that matter, was completely unaware about these bacteria. Now we need to know them. So this is an example of primary research. It has highest applications, as I have said, in epidemiology. Now, for instance, for 4 years back, we had this COVID. Before that, nobody had any idea about COVID. So here the focus lies on collecting the information about a new virus or pathogen, or for that matter, collecting information about anything which was not known up till yet. Now we come to the second part, that is the secondary research. Secondary research is the research which includes collection of data from studies of other members, or in short, it is the collection of data about something which is known earlier. Now, another example for it is the recently developed vaccine for the AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now, it is not the case that we were not knowing about the AIDS. We were knowing about the AIDS. There were many such efforts and attempts and systematic scientific projects going on where the people, they were trying to find some cure about AIDS. But now they have finally devised a vaccine successfully for AIDS. This is an example of secondary research. They have studied everything which the other people have done up till then, and on that basis of that primary source of information, they have done their own research and they have reached this successful milestone. This is an example of secondary research. Now, Having dealt with this one sort of classification, we have to do this classification of medical research study in terms of its content, in terms of what actually is being done in that research of medical science. So this medical research study can be classified in two parts, the first one being the descriptive study and the second one being the analytical study. Now, what does descriptive study mean? Descriptive study is an observational study, a study which is having observation as the major source of information, which describes the distribution of the characteristics of a disease or outcome. Now, here we have an example, very much relevant example, the percentage of the asymptomatic COVID positives in diabetics and non-diabetics. This is an observational study which also has its applications in the theory of inferences which we study in the statistics, where we are supposed to devise some hypothesis. We have to apply this entire knowledge of the inference theory and we have to either prove or disprove that hypothesis. So this is a study which is based on observations. It is a description of the distribution of the characteristics of a disease in a particular set of people, and that's what it sums up to be. Whereas analytical study, it is something which is not related to numbers or it is not related to data. Rather, it is a study which is much more subtle in its nature, in its intrinsic nature. It is an observational study. It is a study which is looking for the association between the exposure and the outcome and analyze for a possible cause-effect relationship. Now, what does this cause-effect relationship mean? Let me give you an example, a very historic and a very classic example. I think all of you must be knowing about the disease malaria. Now, this malaria itself, the term malaria itself, is a constituent of two words, mal, which means dirty or bad, and area, which means air. So the people, they used to have this belief that malaria is something which is occurring due to bad air or polluted air. But there was no cause-effect relationship to prove the same. But then there came the game changer, Sir Ronald Ross, who further did this analytical study, who further tried to establish this cause-effect relationship and found out that it is not the bad air, rather the plasmodium virus, which is in the legs of or the organs of the female Anopheles mosquito, which is responsible for this malaria. So this is an example of analytical study. Okay, now I know that everything and anything which the world is consuming today is nothing but a manifestation of research, and there can't be any limitation to how many uh, applications of this research methodology can be. There is absolutely no limit. But I think I am done with the spheres or those aspects which contribute to the good being and the upliftment of the country. And this is perhaps the sole reason why this course is introduced into the curriculum of the students who are in this field of science. So with this, I am done with all which I was supposed to deliver. So these are the acknowledgements. These are all the sources which I used for designing my seminar and gathering the content for delivering in this presentation. So I thank you for holding on with me and giving your precious time and attention. Thank you.